Welcome to a second talk about animal sacrifice and world religion. I'll be sharing some stuff regarding the Bhagavad Gita, more verses than anything else, a few from the Qur'an, and from the Latter-day Saint scripture, there's the Pearl of Great Price, the Doctrine Covenants, and the Book of Mormon, and there's going to be sharing from each of that. And Moses and Abraham are both titles of books within that. Al-Quran 108:2 renders something like, "So pray unto thy Lord and sacrifice," and the greater sacrifice, or camel sacrifice, is implied there. And the prayer, it's a contact prayer, so it's a ritual prayer too. And in preparation for these 10 days, and at the 10th day, or after the sacrifice, which is after the holiday prayer, people trim their nails and their fingernails and cut their hair and such that they hadn't been allowed to do the whole 10 days as a sign of the sacrifice. And there's more for the pilgrims. Pilgrims don't comb their hair, so I didn't feel it was necessary to comb my hair to do this video. But, so, from Moses 5:7, "And then the angel spoke, saying, This thing is a similitude of the sacrifice." And, well, the sacrifice is symbolic of something, and when it comes time to do a sacrifice, why not do a sacrifice instead of just, I want to represent the fact that I'm not sacrificing, So what does the sacrifice mean? What is its intention, and what is experience for you? Something you should be answering this regard. What is an egg sacrifice? What is a bird sacrifice? What is the sacrifice of the four-legged beast that are edible? The things that don't eat the land, animals. They don't have fangs or talons or claws. And let's return here. 22:33. "Therein are benefits for you, for an appointed term, and afterwards they are brought for sacrifice unto the ancient house." And yes, they are. There's more sacrifices in Saudi than anywhere else. But, well, around Mecca, in the sacrificial area. But also, it's done around the world. And it's done, the animals aren't supposed to see each other be slaughtered. And it's done humanely. And also, let's go on here, back to the Pearl of Great Price. Abraham 1:8. "The offering unto these strange gods, men, women, and children." And 1:7, ... "in offering up their children unto their dumb idols." Now, just because other people are doing that at a location, it doesn't mean that you can't do your own act of worship. Other people worshiping in their way doesn't prevent you. People would do pilgrimage even when people were had their idols and their other stuff, and the Israelites kind of stopped at times. But most cultures, when people have different religions, even if the holy site is being defiled in that way, in terms of, hey, this is our house of worship and you've come and you're doing this other thing, it doesn't affect you in that way. But 22:34 from Al-Quran, so that third and final verse that I'm going to mention here, and in future years I can mention others. And, there's a lot to say about this subject, but I would try to keep it a bit brief. "And to every nation We have appointed our rituals that they may mention the name of God over the beast of cattle that he hath given them for food. And your God is one God, therefore surrender unto him, and give good tidings to the humble. Now, it's not supposed to be a prideful thing. A lot of people are very secretive of the fact that they have sacrificed, and you never know. They may be sacrificing far more than they need to, but then again, we're not supposed to be extreme that, our families can't eat meat, but we buy sacrifices that we starve ourselves to do. That's not what's being talked about. But so the humility in both in your attitude and in your action. But every nation has the right, even before domestication of animals, we see that there were animals that were captured off the field of Africa and Europe and such like this that were sacrificed. The Native Americans, they spiritualized their behavior. And so what is your experience of all this? What is your meaning? And what is your intention? And from the Book of Mormon, Alma 34:11. Now there is not any man who can sacrifice his own blood which will atone for the sins of another. Now if any man murdereth, behold, will our law, in which is just, take the life of his brother? I say unto you, nay. So it's only your own actions. And of course, in the biblical law of atonement, you have 8 ways, and you can't atone through a sacrifice. Now, atonement is not the only reason for a sacrifice. In the modern sense, it's out of obedience. But in the biblical sense, the law of atonement requires that everybody who it's going to count for physically takes part in the process. They pay for it beforehand, or they have physically touched the animal before it was slaughtered. So, of course, the Christian way of thinking can't possibly apply to such teachings. And the Bhagavad Gita 4:28. The sacrificing one's possessions, austere sacrificing, linking or connecting sacrifices, and psychiatric or, for the mental development, also become enlightened people who have vowed to be strict. So there's more than just animal sacrifices here. There's your own adherence, and that's, more important in some ways of thinking. And so let's go on to the Doctrine and Covenants 59:8. Thou shalt offer a sacrifice unto thy Lord, thy God, in righteousness, even as of a contrite heart and spirit, and a contrite spirit, even of a broken heart and a contrite spirit. Okay. So, again, the emotional and mental reaction. And definitely, even according to the Bible, there was animal sacrifice practice after Jesus by the early Christians. And so they were trying to reason away that sort of practice. But it's there. And some later Christian groups practiced it according to what their scripture actually had to say. So Bhagavad Gita 4:30. All these performers who know the meaning of sacrifice become cleansed of sinful reactions as the result of sacrifice. They taste the divine nectar of sacrifice. They approach the Creator in the eternal atmosphere. And the Lahut, the Absolute, whatever you want to call the realm of the appropriate ways to think about God. The meaning is an important thing to go after here. And as I pointed out before, it's not just, okay, there's the obedience, but there's symbols. The symbols you obey via the symbols, but the symbols have the meaning and their experience to go with them. And of course, in the pilgrimage people are making in Mecca, that is mentioned in the Bible and some Asian scriptures. And it's mentioned some elsewhere too, but I'm not going to say Africa or Asia to Africa or Europe to verify whether it goes, back 5,000 years or something like that. But you can think of it as symbolic of the psychology. And the Jungian psychology is definitely something that can be imposed upon the structure. And Bhagavad Gita 3:13. The food is taken as a result of sacrifices. The devotees are cleansed of all kinds of sins because they enjoy what is first dedicated. Others who prepare food for only personal enjoyment do grievous sin and are sinners in their enjoyment. So, all food really is first offered to what one worships. It's dedicated in the name of remembrance during, remembrance after, however it is done, And the sacrifices, of course, are given as food, and they provide other benefits other than physical benefits. And 3:14, from the grains grow the material bodies. From the rains, the foodstuff is produced. When sacrifice is performed, it becomes possible for rain. I would say another sort of rain. I'm offering my own translations rather than the Prabhupada ones. I'm altering them a bit according to the language. The performance of sacrifice is born of fruitiveness. So just like alms, it's given out of extra. And 3:15, regulative activities becomes possible. Regulative activities are prescribed in the wisdom literature. Directly from the Creator is the spiritual. Thereby is the all-pervading Creator eternally settled with the acts of sacrifice. So it's not it's the obedience. It's the following the forms of. And in every act of worship, there's the remembrance, there's the forms of, and, your personal experience and whatnot. But, there's no spirit of the law if you're ignoring the practice of the law. And let's jump down to the Doctrine and Covenants, 59:8. Thou shalt offer a sacrifice unto the Lord thy God in righteousness, even as that of a broken heart and contrite spirit. Okay, I've said that one. And 64:23 of the Doctrine and Covenants. It is a day of sacrifice, and a day of tithing of my people, for he that is tithed shall not be burnt. So when it becomes required of you, it's required of you. But it's not forced on you by the state or something. If somebody's taking your alms out of your bank account or something, that's not alms, that's a tax. And how are you supposed to pay your own? And how are they supposed to determine what the overall is if they just glean off the top or something? So the Bhagavad Gita 9:26. If one offers me with love and devotion a leaf, a flower, fruit, water, I will accept that from the one in pure consciousness of devotion. And again, your consciousness, your will, your spirit is fully involved in whatever. So scent offerings are fully acceptable. Any good deed you're doing can be, or anything worthwhile can be done in the name of what you worship according to its principles and with remembrance. And, okay, I guess I'll do a final 97.8 from the Doctrine and Covenants, which was formerly known as the Book of Commandments, and some reordering was done, but willing to observe sacrifice, willing to observe, I don't know, what is that? What did I say? Something by sacrifice, yea, every sacrifice which I, the Lord, shall command, they are accepted of me. The covenants. But I don't know what's before covenants. IRICIRT or B is the backwards of it, so I don't know what I'm trying to say here. Bhagavad Gita 18:5, acts of sacrifice, charity, and penance are not to be given up. They must be performed. Indeed, sacrifice, charity, and penance purify, even for the great ones. So don't think that you've reached a pinnacle. Just keep on going and do your various deeds. Give up as you can. So 16:17 of the Bhagavad Gita, and the last quote was Bhagavad Gita 8:5. Self-complacent, impudent people, misled by wealth and fame, sometimes pridefully performing sacrifice in name only, without knowledge or rules. So, connect your deeds to knowledge, the gnosis, and just don't randomly do things. Who knows what you're going to end up doing if you just randomly act on impulses. So 17:1 of the Bhagavad Gita. Absolute truth is the object of devotional sacrifice, and it is performance of sacrifice. Wait. The absolute truth is the object of devotional sacrifice, and performances sacrifice. And is indicated by the word thus, as are all works of sacrifice, penance, and charity, which, when true to cause and effect, the supreme is indicated. So the truest sacrifice is directly to the originator, the one who is not like anything else, not the various angels or anything like that, not the males and the females. And that is the root of that belief. But of course, the Bhagavad Gita people end up thinking that Krishna is the servant of Krishna, and the other 4 names that have to do with the figure that they think incarnated and that sort of thing. So 924 of the Bhagavad Gita. I certainly enjoy all the sacrifices, and are their Lord. Also, when they know not me, they fall down. And just like Jesus in the Bible, I think a lot of people misunderstand the fact that they're supposed to be a sent one, and they're quoting. So, again, the reference and the knowledge of God is something that can be aspired to. And nothing gets by God. So 12:11, even though you are unable to perform some way of connecting, try to give up the results of action and become self-situated in renunciation. So, renounce what you're not supposed to be involved in, or what's not best. And as Aleister Crowley said, in the Book of the Law, there was the bit about the true will unassuaged of results is every way perfect, or something like that. And that is a note to leave you on in the respect of the importance of doing things for their own merit and determining that and interpreting it and experiencing it, because it's supposed to evoke you. Yes, God can accept it, but it's the people taking part, are the beings witnessing it, other than God, that's, can be stirred to action in that respect. Even if it's a selfless act, it's about you. It's best for you to, and of course it's not, if something isn't required on you, don't worry about it. It wasn't required on you, you're not failing. So what are some other ideas about animal sacrifice and sacrifice in general? Comment below.